Nick got hit by a train twice.
Yeah.
That's unlucky.
All right, welcome back, guys. Another episode of 10 Plus 1.
Welcome back.
In the Blanc box. I'm Corey Blanc.
And I'm Christopher Knox.
Who do we got today?
Who do we have today? This is
I don't know. Trey Corrin.
Trey Corrin. And what do you do here, Trey?
Well, I guess now I'm the operations manager.
Operations manager of Blanc Creatives.
Yes, of Blanc Creatives.
Yeah.
I'm not from the hot dog stand down the street.
Which would be pretty hot dog stand operations.
That's next week. But yeah,
pretty sweet.
The money man.
Yeah.
But yes, formerly the money man and the bookkeeper. But yeah, so I'm the brains of the operation.
Yeah.
Someone has to be.
It's not me. It's not me.
I'm in episode 7.
Episode 7. We're back. We had to take a brief hiatus because somebody had a birthday and went on vacation.
Yeah, turned 40. Had to bum it in Jamaica for a week.
Big boss man turned 40.
It happens to the best of us.
It happened to me a long time ago,
but
brother.
not to the worst of us specifically.
True.
Some of them.
You'll be there soon enough, right, Trey?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Cancun. I went to Cancun for my 36th. So yeah.
Okay, so you still got 4 years. You're a baby.
Yeah, it'll be all right. 36. I remember that. So we're happy to be back in the box, and we're going to be interviewing Trey today. But first, I want to remind everybody that if you're listening on Spotify, if you have Spotify Premium, you'll hear the songs in their entirety. And if you just have the free Spotify, you'll still hear the songs. Will be 30-second clips. And then if you're watching on YouTube, we can't play the music on YouTube, but there will be links in the description of all the songs that we're discussing today. And with that, do you have anything to add?
What exactly is 10 Plus 1?
10 Plus 1, what we're doing is we're going through all the employees and friends and people around town, and they are going to tell their biography through music, through song.
Yes, you got it.
I finally did it.
Yeah.
Finally. Well, I didn't. I think last week I got it right. But
then I'm here to blow up the format.
Yeah, I think Trey apparently has never listened to the podcast before, so we're
full disclosure, I don't have a Spotify subscription, so
yeah. I mean, it's free. You just have to put in your email address, but it's all good. So then, where are we starting with you then? First of all, tell us where you're from. Originally, where'd you grow up?
Where am I from? I grew up in Clarksburg, West Virginia, and Canadian Valley, West Virginia. They're kind of both my home. I moved to the Charlottesville area, I don't know, 6th grade. So
tell me about West
90s
Virginia. What's it like?
It's mountainous. It's awesome. It's full of some wonderful people. Canadian Valley is one of the most beautiful places in the country that I've been to. Maybe a little bit of bias because I live there, but every time I go back, I'm like, no, this is a pretty special spot. Shout out to Sirianni's Pizza up in Davis in Canadian Valley, West Virginia. Best pizza place on the planet. Easily.
Where in the state is that? Is that in the center? Or?
It's kind of at the bottom of the panhandle, closer to the Virginia side. But it's it's a 3-hour drive from Charlottesville. Is a straight shot. So not that means much to many people, but yeah, it's kind of in the center of the state, but a little bit towards Virginia, I would say.
Okay.
But
yeah, I've only been to West Virginia a handful of times, and it's always so amazing.
Yeah.
Wild and wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. Emphasis on both words, really. It's a good slogan for a state.
Yeah, I think I had talked about moving out there a long time ago, but it's just it seems so far from everywhere.
That's kind of the issue with a place like that is it's a commitment, I would say.
Yeah. If you're there, you're just there, and that's it.
But it's it's a great way of life. There's again the every time I go back, it's like the nicest people are there. Like
Yeah.
it's like refreshing leaving Central. I mean, not to knock too much on Central Virginia, but it's like a very different vibe there.
Yeah, I think the old boom towns that went bust, you can still get a house for like.
Oh yeah,
pennies,
yeah.
right?
No, I'm
Yeah.
sure there's plenty of cheap real estate. And actually, the place that I originally grew up in was Clarksburg, and that was an old oil town. And I went back like 5 or 6 years ago probably, and it was fascinating because there's like skyscrapers there, but they're like empty. But it's in a weird way, it's kind of like Stanton almost, where it's like it's got like a big, just really nice buildings that were built half a century ago at least. But then it's like you look around and like there's no way that these buildings are full now. It's gone downhill a little bit, but it's I don't know. So it's a cool place to go to. But
I've been trying to go out there for the Mothman Festival.
Oh yeah,
the Mothman Festival.
That's more north, I think. Like
Point Pleasant.
I could be wrong about that, but yeah.
One day I'll get out there. I was trying to go out there, and then they canceled it for COVID. I think they did it this year, but I missed it.
Yeah,
but I'll get out there eventually. Meet my buddy. The Mothman.
The Mothman?
Mothman, man. All right. So what's your first song you got for us today? And tell me a little bit about it.
So number one.
Well, should we preface this?
I will.
With who Trey is.
Yes.
Yeah. You go ahead. You know him better than I do.
Trey, preface yourself here.
I was kind of curious to see what you were gonna come up with. So yes, I am Trey. Also, the front man of Fish is also named Trey, and I'm a huge Fish head. So there's a lot of Fish in my list.
I think they should have picked up on that by the flip flops.
Oh yeah, that too. I don't know how low.
Raise your foot up. Raise your foot up. Trey wears flip flops even when there's snow outside.
Snow on the ground.
No, it's year round. It's year round.
Sleet, hail.
But I'm currently wearing a Fish shirt, and I have my Cancun wristband from my birthday show that Fish also performed.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, he's that guy.
So yeah, I'm that guy.
How many Fish shows have you been to?
I should know the exact number.
You know the exact number. Don't give me that.
No, it's like it's in the low 80s. But I can't remember exactly after. I need to look at my stats again after.
Low 80s or the low 180s?
No, low 80s. Yeah, I haven't hit 100 yet. That'll be in the next.
Over 100.
That'll probably be in the next 4 years because I averaged like 5-ish shows a year.
You need to get the hash mark tattoos. Like Vu used to do the hash mark tattoos for his age. So like,
I don't have any tattoos.
Yeah, you can just start with 80 something hash marks.
Yeah. Yeah, I need 80.
Wasn't there a villain? Wasn't there a Batman villain that did that?
I'm sure.
Anyway, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. But there is a Batman villain who like etched in like he had like tally marks all over him
for his kills. Or?
Yeah. Anyway, so that went down a weird rabbit hole real fast. But yeah, so I guess the way that I was to say, I kind of broke the format a little bit. My list is pretty much in chronological order. It does not cover my whole life by any stretch. It's mostly my either late high school through adult life, like somewhere around there. But the first song is definitely not chronological order, but
because we usually start with like the first song you remember.
Yeah. So if I went with that, just for clarity, if we went with the traditional format, it would have been it was a toss up between Maxwell's Silverhammer and Octopus's Garden. Because I remember very vividly driving between Clarksburg and Canaan Valley. They were Beatles. Like my dad was a big just all classic rock, and so naturally there's some Beatles in that. But every now and then he would put on a Beatles album, and those two songs in particular, because they're so like goofy and childlike, they very much I mean they're silly fucking songs, but they're great. So if I were doing it chronologically, that would have been the beginning, but I opted to shake things up a little bit. So sorry, not sorry.
So what song?
So number one is Portland Jam, which was a jam that Fish played in Portland, Oregon, because that was back in the day when they would record the shows and then release them. They would often split the jam from the song and record it as a separate track, usually for royalty reasons, but every now and then one slipped through the cracks and they would split it up. So this one, I get to just bless you with just the jam section, not the whole
What
song.
Is this a 500-minute jam?
Yeah, it's actually super short and sweet. It's probably one of their more unique jams as far as like nothing else. None of their other jams sound like this. It's like it's very ambient and mellow and just relaxing. And fun fact, I did Twitch streaming for a little bit in 2020, I guess. It was because of all the COVID bullshit.
What was your Twitch handle?
Sir Rutherford the Brave, which is a character from a Fish song.
Okay.
So on brand.
Everything is on brand.
But this was the song that like my intro, like whenever I'd hit the go button, but then leave like the starting soon thing up, Portland Jam was what would be illegally playing in the background. And I never got smacked with a copyright issue because no one cares about Fish.
Well, it was also, they really only picked up on that like copyright thing like year or so ago where they were really getting heavy-handed on
I mean it was it was
you
around
can't
that,
get away with
but
anything.
now it's pretty automated. Like they've got
like
got
if a
bots
car
doing
drives
that.
by playing music.
yeah
They're literally
no I know
so what year is this song from in Portland?
Late 90s. I want to say 97, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
I genuinely forget the exact date.
And were you at the show?
I was not at that show.
July 15th, 1998.
98. All right. I was off by 1 year, so not too bad.
All right, Portland Jam. Let's see how this goes. All right. That wasn't bad. Like I did enjoy it. So
That's good.
full clarification. I generally hate Fish. For most of until I met Trey.
I just
honestly,
thought most punk
I
rock
hated
kids really were fish heads too.
No, it's a misnomer, man.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't realize that till you get deep in.
Until you get deep in, yeah.
It's
so
funny how
like,
there is a lot of that where it's like these two things should be, especially in the Fish world, it's like a lot of things should be grouped together, but it's like no, they're very different. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
I was being facetious, Trey.
yeah.
I mean, you'd
Which
be
is-
surprised, dude.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised.
No, I mean, listen. I just like something else we discussed a long time ago. Like, I have this problem that I decide that I hate something because I don't like the people that like it in the past.
Yeah.
You
No,
know
I
what mean?
get that.
So,
I
like,
get
in the
that.
90s, when I first heard of it, I was like, I hate it.
Yeah. Well, you
And
were
then I
saying
never
you
really
worked
gave
at
it a
you were working at like a Ticketmaster, like
Yeah.
one of the like a place where they were reselling tickets or something. Or like,
No, I worked on the phones at Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
In like
and
94.
you hated on sale Fish Day, right?
Yeah, because it was insane, and it was just dudes that were stoned, and I didn't understand what they were talking about. And it would just be fish, and I never heard of them. And I was like, what the hell is this? But I definitely like goofed up like a ton of their campsite reservations because they didn't really explain like how it worked to us.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, you're good to go. So there were a lot of dudes in the mid-90s that showed up with no campsite, and that was me.
That's really funny.
But I'm sure it worked
Well,
out
all
just
of my
fine for
angry
them.
friends are going to start coming after you now.
That's fine. I could probably take on the whole group.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, no, but honestly, that's what I'm saying. Like before I met you, you're the first person that I've met personally that was this into Fish. That wasn't an annoying person.
Yeah.
to me.
Thank you. I appreciate
know
that.
what I mean? And
How long have you known Trey?
Not long enough.
And we need a little tick mark thing that we're talking about for Trey's giggle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that too. That is
I
a
enjoy
trademark
it.
of
We
mine.
need a tick marks for the Trey giggle.
I enjoy it.
Well, as I get through this bottle of Camus, the giggles will increase.
That's
so,
the point.
Yeah.
So like I really wanted to come in here like very open-minded and like give it a shot because like you're a rad dude, and if you love it that much, then it can't be that bad. And that was good. I enjoyed that.
Well,
so
thank
I'm
you.
sure we'll be hearing some
I
more.
will say nothing else sounds like that, but
All
yes.
right. Well,
but yeah.
we'll see when we get there.
Yeah, but I have a good variety on here.
All right, cool. So what we got coming up next?
So number 2, all right. So now we're getting into the more like chronological story about Trey music. This one's a fun one. So there's a little bit of a couple stories here. Number 1, I will say when I was tasked with coming up with these songs, I think actually any very avid Blanc Creatives fan might have noticed that on my staff page at one point, maybe it's still up there, I mentioned that Neil Young is my spirit animal. And Neil Young famously does not have any music on Spotify right now. So number 1, I had to leave out my spirit animal from the list. However, number 2, the first time I ever like properly got drunk and listened to music, I was actually in Canaan Valley, West Virginia. My family, like, after we sold our house up in the mountains there and then moved to Charlottesville, we would go back every summer and like rent out some like massive ski lodge, like at the ski resort that houses like 20 people, like one of those giant ass mansions on a mountain. And then we would get like all of my dad's old like college buddies and like their families. We would all just go up there and just have like a big like week-long fun family friend party situation going. And so like every now and then there'd be some underage drinking going on there. And I got wasted, and then someone put on this Dave Matthews concert. It was live at Central Park. And my first like drunk song experience was listening to them with Warren Haynes, who came on stage and covered Cortez the Killer. And it just like punched me in the heart. Like it just got me. And I've listened to music pretty differently since then, but like the emotional connection, that's where it came from. Because the reason that I didn't really include much from like the early days was that I didn't really, even though I like play guitar now, all I do is follow Fish around the country, and like I still see Neil Young and Crazy Horse whenever I can. I was not a music person until like around college time, really. So that's why I kind of just ignored. My life didn't really start until I was in college. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But this was like just before college, and like I had a borderline religious experience listening to this song. So it's always had a soft spot in my heart. And like I like Dave Matthews. I respect him a lot. Being in Charlottesville, it's like
you can't get away from it.
Yeah, and like, but he is a genuinely good dude. He's an incredibly talented musician. Not all of their stuff is like for me, but I very much respect them. But this cover is pretty legit, though, I gotta say.
So this is Dave Matthews.
So this is the Dave Matthews with Warren Haynes covering like one of my favorite Neil Young songs.
All right. And what's the name of the song?
Cortez the Killer.
Cortez the Killer.
And last little fun fact. I was lucky enough to actually see, I've seen Neil solo a couple times, but I saw Crazy Horse once in Colorado at Red Rocks, and they played this. It was like, I will never forget, it was like 65 degrees out at night, and it was drizzling rain, and it was like, but it was just a nice, refreshing, I don't know, you could just like look out at the plains of like central Colorado, like standing on this like giant rocky peak. And I'm just like looking at this living legend playing this epic song to me. And I'm like feeling the rain, and I'm looking out at it was like the perfect experience.
Yeah, that's a place I've got to hit. I've never hit it.
It's better than everyone says.
You ever been to
like,
Red Rocks?
No. It's it's better than everyone says.
Yeah.
It really is. Like you have to go there. Yeah. You have to.
My buddy Corey, his parents are big DMV fans, and they go out. For every Red Rock show.
Yeah, totally. But
it's like the mecca to see a show.
Oh, it absolutely is.
I mean, I know of it.
Yeah.
I've just never been.
Yeah. Everyone needs to see a show there. Period.
Yeah. All right, Dave Matthews. Let's do it.
Cortez the Killer.
All right, Dave Matthews.
That's and Warren Haynes. I mean,
channeling Neil Young.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. I'm also usually not a big Dave Matthews fan, but that was good.
Yeah.
That was just a good tune. So you were saying earlier so you grew up in West Virginia.
Yep.
So your family moved out to Charlottesville?
Yeah, we moved here for like my the summer before 6th grade. So
okay.
I don't know whenever that was. So.
All right. So you did a lot of, like half your, like.
Yeah. I'd say, and I've been in the Charlottesville area since then. So I'd say, half my life has been, over here. So
what made y'all,
a little bit more than that.
What made y'all leave West Virginia?
Number one was education.
They moved so you can go to Stab?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Nice. Because it was like, I was being homeschooled for 2 years up there, and that was like just going to be a temporary thing. And then it was like, well, we need to find a better, like, because the public schools,
the schools really
especially in that part of West Virginia. I mean, it's like there's just no population, so it's like when you're pulling from a population pool of less than 1,000 people. It's like they might have nice teachers, but you're not going to have like competitively good. You know what I mean? I'm not knocking on anyone up there.
And people from all over the world send their kids to St. Anne's.
Yeah, no, St. Anne's is it's like one of the bougiest schools in the world. Like
and
it's
like
like Lawrenceville School, Stab, and then like a couple others. Like it's So, but yeah, and I guess
Howie Long's our football coach.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait, he coaches there now?
Well, I mean, you know, yeah.
Well, yeah,
for the most part.
the honorary coach, yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's a world.
I mean, I did
school.
play catch with him when I was in like sixth or seventh grade. It was like right after I got there, and I caught a 50-yard pass from him, and it knocked the wind out of me. Wow. So that's my claim to fame. Is like, because he kept saying like go deep, and I went like 20 yards, and he was like, "Nah, keep going."
As he was running in his flip flops.
Yeah, well, actually, I actually at that point I would have been wearing Tevas because I had because I think we weren't allowed because we had a dress code, and I'm trying to think like. I think we could wear flip-flops on certain days, but like Tevas somehow were like they had all these weird rules where it was like if it didn't have the back strap, then it didn't count as a shoe or some stupid thing like that.
I could see St. Anne's just being like no open toe.
I think, I don't know. They had some interesting rules, but I mean, I don't know. They were fairly lenient. And I don't want to like shit on that school. Like it was an awesome school. I love that place. Like
I mean, it sounds awesome.
It made me who I am. But yeah, it's also the most elitist place in the fucking world. Like
I mean, it'd have to be.
But damn, did they have some good teachers. My favorite one was he was an editor for the Rolling Stone. And like one of his best friends was Hunter S. Thompson, and I was in his class the day after he had killed himself. Like Hunter S. Thompson had killed himself, and that was an interesting day to say the least.
What did he teach?
It was an English, like it was specifically a writing class, but like there's a little bit like reading and English involved, but it was like mostly like creative writing was the. Super fascinating.
He didn't teach the cocaine and guns class.
I mean, he told us about it. Like he told us all the stories. Like he was it was a super fun class. But it was like taught by a dude who was a writer and editor for Rolling Stone who hung out with. Yeah, it was a cool place.
So 6 through 12, you were there. You moved here 6th grade.
Yeah. So I was there. Yeah, I started beginning of 6th grade and went and graduated. So
okay. Yeah. All right, so we're on number 3 now. What do we got next?
So now we get into the fun dark phase. I won't elaborate too much, but yeah, like after once I was one of those people who would have benefited from a year off between high school and college. I was very much a lost human being. Made a lot of terrible decisions. And
did you go to UVA?
No, I went to Mary Washington for one whopping year. And
I've never heard you talk about college days.
Well, it's because it was like, all right. So my college days basically were I had an incredibly good high school education, as we just discussed, and then I went to Mary Washington, which is up in Northern Virginia in Fredericksburg, and I just couldn't take it seriously. Like I had no interest in being there. I felt like my intelligence was insulted and I'm not knocking the school necessarily. It's like when you go from
sounds like an elitist when you go from 12 education there, Trey.
But the truth is, like when you have a super intensive high school experience like that, and you're really held accountable, and then you take a gen ed class your freshman year that was like your middle school level class, it's like because they're trying to make sure everyone's on the same page, and I understand that. But it's like
I mean, St. Anne's is like prepping you.
Yeah, it's a college prep school. So it's like when you are elevated, and then they like undercut you when you go to college, and it felt insulting and boring. And I was like, okay, so I can just not go to class and show up for the test, and I'll be fine because I already know all this stuff. Yeah, it doesn't work that way apparently. Yeah. But yeah, I couldn't take it seriously. But I will say that first year of college absolutely turned me into who I am. I would not, I learned everything important that I needed to learn that year that I hadn't learned, that I specifically did not learn at a like prestigious school with like, I was very sheltered. I didn't I didn't do anything crazy until I went to college. That was my experimental phase, and all that was during and after college.
Did you go for numbers? What were you going for?
Business admin was my but it was it was just not that was just not what I needed to focus on at that time. I'll say that, and then I came back, and I ended up going to community college afterwards to get accounting experience and all that. So I did fine tune it after that, but I got a lot more out of the PVCC experience than I did at Mary Washington because it was a very tailored, direct. I was taking classes that I needed to take. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was inspired, and I had a reason to do it. But I will say that first year at Mary Washington, though, like, wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, that was the most important year of my life.
Is that when you learned what a bong was?
Yeah, actually it was. Yeah.
No,
it was literally, I went off the deep end hard, like, but I survived and I'm better off for it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
You were introduced to a girl named Molly?
Yes, actually. Yeah. Actually, that was... technically the straight Molly was at my first Fizz show, but yeah, all the roles and everything first trip of many different kinds that year.
Like, did you have like
I hadn't even smoked a bowl before I went to college. Like, it was
who got
that
you
October.
Into that? Like, did you have like a roommate? Or
yeah. So fun fact, I was texting him this morning. I sent him this list of songs this morning because I was like, you'll get a kick out of this because like you definitely were there for like half of these.
Cool. I just want to chime in. Blanc Creatives does not condone drug use.
Yeah, I'm not encouraging or anything like that. But
yeah,
I mean, it's a fact of who I.
We don't condone it, but we're gonna do something later.
I mean, just fucking look at me, like.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
But yeah, so all right. So fun fact: the reason I got into Fish was my randomly assigned freshman year roommate, and we've been best friends the whole time. We don't connect as much now as we should, but like we still text each other like probably once a month or something at least. But it's we keep in touch. But we started. He was big into Fish before they broke up, and like so he would put their songs on every now and then, and I'd be like, I don't know. I wasn't fully sold on it. And then we started this tradition of putting on a like super composed long Fish tune, get stoned, and then clean our dorm room on Friday afternoons, like before. We were fucking idiots, and we were next door to the RA, and we would just throw parties in our dorm room every weekend, even though we shared a wall with the guy who could kick everyone out of school if they wanted to, But so that's how I got into Fish, was by cleaning my dorm room on Friday afternoons before a party. And I was like, actually, this band's fucking awesome.
All right.
All
right. So what song do we have next?
It's not a Fish song, actually.
So next one. So back to my original point about just going through a very lost phase after that one mind-blowing year is Can't Find My Way Home by Blind Faith.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So what about this song?
It's just always resonated with me, especially in that phase. Because I mean, I was lost of like where I wanted to go career wise, just in life in general. My like family was falling apart. I mean, I like very profoundly felt like a Rolling Stone. Like that all the rock and roll cliches like. And I was like just getting into guitar and all that. I just felt like a lost soul who had so much passion for nothing that mattered. And, it was a very, and in a lot of ways, I kind of just came out of that in the past year.
And this is the super group of all super groups.
Oh, yeah, totally. So, but then they just, they wrote like, what's one of the greatest songs of all time. I don't care who you are. This song's fucking awesome.
All right. We'll give it a listen. Blind Faith.
I
know the song. Let's do it. All right. Yeah, I mean, that's a classic jam right there. It's very good. Yeah, we were just talking about supergroups and like what
the history of supergroups.
Yeah,
there's been so many great supergroups through the years. And what was the first supergroup? That's what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, I don't know who I would say it was.
I would say the best supergroup that ever was is Oyster Head, which is Train Anastasio of Fish, Les Claypool of Primus, and then oh my god, why I'm embarrassed that I just blanked on easily the most famous person, the drummer for Police.
Oh, I'm blanking totally right.
I know, like it's like the most obvious name ever. Stuart Copeland.
Yes,
there we go. Yeah, those three have a supergroup band, and they've toured 2 or 3 times. And it's
Trey, Les, and Stuart Copeland.
Yeah, it's just those 3. And dude, if you want to hear some weird, awesome, inspired music, they did they came out with an album in like I think it was the late '90s. And then they didn't do anything for like 20 years, and they came back. I think it was actually end of 2019, and then spring of 2020 they had some shows, and like the last weekend or whatever got canceled because of COVID. And so like but they came out swinging for that 2020 run, and it was like inspired, amazing music. But yeah, check them out. Like Oyster Head's legit. It's not Fish. It's like it's its own thing. Like it's very much its own thing. But yeah, shout out to Oyster Head.
All right, I'll check it out.
Super obscure random shit.
All right, so where are we next? So you're going through your college dark days. Are you out of those yet, or like what's going on here?
I would say I would say it took me like a good 10, 15 years, but I'm finally finally figuring out who I am.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah, it took me a while. I went through quite a phase, but it's been a ride.
You're the best Trey right now I've ever known.
Because
not like this second drinking the wine, but just like the general Trey. Yeah. Right now is the best Trey I've known.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I see what you mean.
And you're the oldest employee right now, longest employee currently at Blanc. Right?
Longest standing.
Train break. Shouldn't be too long. Yeah.
Oh, that's the short train.
Yeah, the long one was during Cortez the Killer, so you guys missed out on the good one. But
how long have you been here now?
So I was thinking about that earlier. I think it was like March of 2018, or it was either 2018 or 2019.
No, it wasn't. I think it had to be 18 because 19 was too close to COVID.
Yeah, because I think it was 18, and then I remembered 19 being kind of like, because like in the accounting world, it's always like the first year is your like learning year, and the second year is your action year. That's kind of like a common phrase in that world. So I remembered like action year ended up like getting kind of pushed a little bit with some company changes we were making, and then it was like, okay, now we're actually doing it in 2020, and then COVID happened, and it's just been like, I don't know, I feel like I've just been chasing this, like, I don't know, chasing the dragon in a weird way, for lack of a better phrase, but yeah, so it's been, I guess, like going on 5 years now or something. Okay. It's crazy, but yeah. But yes, I'm in a good place now. I'll say that, and Corey can vouch for that. Apparently,
you seem happy. Yeah. You seem like your life is going well.
Yeah. Took a little while, but we're good.
It gets there, man. So what song are we on next?
So next, all right, this is probably the most fun, like at the beginning of the fun section. So this is "Hey Baby, New Rising Sun" by Jimi Hendrix, but specifically the Live at Berklee College performance, and that was like his song that he was working on. I mean that album he was working on like right before he died, and he was shopping this song around a lot, and there's a lot of different versions of it, and this is by far the most mature, like progressive sounding composition he has ever come up with, in my humble opinion. And it's like
May 30, 1970,
and it's just like a shameful, like, I don't know, every time I listen to this, I'm like, oh my God, the music that the world missed out on by him dying like not very long after this performance happened. I was like, that dude was getting better and better, and he hadn't even begun to be a mature musician yet. And like this, I feel like this performance specifically like shows that. But this was one of those songs that I was starting to get into guitar. So I guess back to my freshman year, my roommate that we were talking about, he had an acoustic guitar. I'm left-handed. It was a right-handed guitar. I got into Pink Floyd and started listening to like "Wish You Were Here," and I was like, I can play that. That sounds like an easy acoustic song. And I spent 2 weeks trying to get the first like 5 notes of that song down and clean, because I was playing backwards. I had no idea what I was doing.
Did you do the Jimmy thing and like do the flip?
So I actually, funny you mentioned that. Like 2 weeks ago, I went out and finally bought a left-handed guitar to like play it properly. But no, I did not take a right-handed guitar, flip it over, and then and
you just learned how to play right-handed.
So I just learned how to play right-handed. So like I've always played right-handed, and then I finally hit, because I'm like proficient enough that I completely understand the phrase of your left hand is what you know, your right hand is what you feel, which is to say your fret hand is what you know, your strumming hand is what you feel. And I finally hit the point where I 100% understand what that means, because I can like do whatever I want with my left hand, but my right hand, like, since I don't have the dexterity in it, it's funny because dexterity is Latin for being right-handed. But it's like I can't get to that level with my right hand, and like I can't pick fast enough, and I can't pick cleanly enough. So I've like developed a style that I can work within these parameters, but it doesn't like I'm limited by it for sure.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, what happens if I just like start over and learn it the other way? So
Yeah,
we will find out in 10 years if that pans out or not. But
But did it translate at all? Has it translated?
it's funny. Like I've practiced,
Like
I have like
chords?
sat down and practiced a handful of times in the past couple weeks. And I will say I'm picking it up exponentially faster than I was before. And it's like just
you
doing.
understand the concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's
so
just muscle memory.
yeah, so but it's like I gotta say the frustration of like sitting down for more than 5 minutes after you can play pretty damn well the normal way, and then when you try to reverse it, and it's like, man, switching between a G and a C chord is impossible. You know, it's like when you get back to that point, it's like, oh my god, and like the psychology of it is what deters you because you're just like, I can't spend 5 minutes playing these two stupid chords back and forth.
Why did you never do the flip?
Well, I mean, just because I don't know.
Okay.
Because it was
left-handed stuff is like you can either find like something really cheap and garbage or something that's $5,000.
Yeah.
There's no like
well,
in between.
But even the flip, what he was talking about, where it's like if you just were to flip it, because there's a couple ways you can do it. There's one where you just play it upside down, which makes bar chords and everything totally impossible because you can't bar it. Like if you have the thick, like the low string on the bottom, it just doesn't work. But then if I forget what I was going with that.
You restring.
But yeah, then if you restring it, it's like you have to change some of the hardware because like the grooves and like the nut at the top and everything and like the bridge, depending on the bridge, they're also the grooves are meant to be a certain gauge of strings. So it's like, you know, it's I wasn't at a point where I cared at all about changing hardware. You know, it just, you know, I had a right-handed acoustic, so I just went with it. You know, I didn't think I would take it as seriously as I did, and I just kept going.
I mean, I get it. I'm left-handed as well, and
but yeah.
So
next up is arguably my favorite song of all time is this performance of the song. So,
all right, and what is this again?
Hey Baby from The New Rising Sun by Jimi Hendrix.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I've never heard that version before,
dude,
so it was really nice.
The best.
Dude, I've never seen your eyes closed during any song we've ever played here.
That was
I saw that. I was like, he's feeling it.
That was good.
Now it's like, and just the, you know, and not to get like kind of dark for a second, but just the thought of like, you know, he was actively working on that song and trying to get like the right studio version that he wanted before he died. And like it, you know, they released it after he passed, but it was like, you know, it didn't sound anything like that performance. And it was just like the fact that he was writing a song about like being whisked away by some beautiful star creature, you know, it was like, why don't you take me with you, you know? And then that's what happened.
Did.
Yeah, and she did.
Yeah, that was that was the end of May.
Yeah, I mean, he literally died.
He died in September.
Yeah, and it was a few months later. Like, but
I've always had a different opinion on like all the young rock star deaths. Like, I'm like, I think it's for the best.
I don't know,
because like, while it's sad, I mean, I don't wish, but like, I just hate to think of like Jimi Hendrix playing like Pepsi ads on the Super Bowl.
I mean, I hear that.
Like,
but when I hear that song specifically, like that version of that song, I'm like, that dude was just getting started.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because like
sometimes like that's
if you listen to that after Purple Haze, it's like there's no comparison between those two people. It's like that the dude who was playing that song we just listened to was a whole other ball game. Like that was a whole other level of musicianship that he was just scratching the surface of. And I think that's heartbreaking. I hear you though. I hear you, but I think with him, he probably would have gone the better path. Like, I mean, if he survived, but
who knows?
I mean, he was just so genuine.
Like even like Nirvana and all that. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost inevitable that they end up lame. Yeah, and sometimes it's best to like remain a god.
I would argue Nirvana, even if Kurt hadn't died, they wouldn't have kept playing. You know what I mean? Like I think he would have pulled the cord one way or another. You know what I mean? Like he did, but it was like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Not to make light of it, but it was, you know what I mean? Like, I think I feel like he's one of those people who out of principle would never have become a, you know.
I don't know.
But who knows? Yeah, you don't know what I mean? Like
exactly. Like, does Paul McCartney need money? But he does a lot of goofy shit. You know what I mean? Like
true.
So Anyway, that's my opinion.
But
I don't want to get into it.
Either way,
that's my hot take. But anyway, that song was awesome.
Great
I've never heard that
song.
version. So
yeah.
I think that was the first eye closer I've had.
That was the first one. The first one I've noticed.
Yeah, I was very happy with that.
You did not close your eyes into the zone of Nelly Furtado.
Yeah, surprisingly enough.
You don't feel like a bird?
No, rarely.
Except that one time in college.
Yeah. I do. Now you're getting into some of my shit right here.
Yeah. So,
what do you know about Black country women?
Right.
So this is as every self-respecting college pothead does, they go through a massive Led Zeppelin phase.
Oh yeah. This was my high school.
Yeah.
Like I did a lot of Zeppelin.
Well, see, I told you my life didn't start until late, so coincidentally, my life began when I discovered Led Zeppelin, as is the case with most American men. But yeah, so this was always like a low key favorite of mine of theirs, and specifically, this is a very timely story. Surprisingly, this would have been 2006, 2007, probably 2006. And I was like deep into my Zeppelin phase, and Black Country Woman was at the time, like for that week, was my like favorite Zeppelin song. And I could claim that every single Led Zeppelin song was my favorite at one point. In this one particular week, it was this one. And then on a whim, I went to go see Robert Plant and Alison Krauss doing their first tour together for the Raising Sand album, which is to this day one of my absolute favorites, favorite albums, just as like a cohesive piece of work. Did not make the cut on this, but my honorary entry was this song, because I went and because I was like a broke college kid at the time, and I was spending most of my time in Fredericksburg, a little bit in Charlottesville. And then they were playing in Roanoke, which is like the far other end of Virginia. And I was a broke college kid. So it's like you have to factor in gas money and concert tickets like into this trek. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to the show. I have a friend in Lexington that I can stay with, so I can like pull this trip off. I have exactly enough money to buy a ticket and like 2 tanks of gas if I need it, and I can like crash at my friend's place. And so I was like, so if I get a decent seat on the on sale, I'll go, was kind of my mentality. And then I like get on the on sale, I like get a ticket. I got 3rd row floor, like it was a seated show, but it was in in the Roanoke Civic Center. So it was like a big indoor basketball arena, and got 3rd row floor seats. And I was like, I'm going. Like it was like an $80 ticket. Like at that time, it was like that was nothing. You know what I mean? Like that even today, that's still like for front row at a Robert Plant show, that's pretty damn cheap. So I went. They played that entire album, and then to my pleasant surprise, I knew they'd probably play a couple of Zeppelin songs, because like how can you not, you know? And one of the 3 that they played, or 3 that I remember at least, one of them was Black Country Woman. And as soon as they started playing that, I was like, are you fucking serious? Like my random like favorite, and it was like kind of, it's not an obscure Zeppelin song, but it's not one that gets a whole lot of radio play, you know what I mean? And so I was like, the fact that like of the 3 songs that they chose, that was one of them. I was just like floored. Yeah. And I was just like, are you fucking serious? And I looked up, and I would never forget. I swear that this happened. I'm not making it up. It made my life. I was just bug-eyed, jaw on the floor, staring at Robert Plant during that song. And he looked at me, and just for like context, I was by far the youngest person in the room. I was like, it was actually the first show that I was able to legally drink at. So it was like, I guess, yeah. So it was the summer after I turned 21. So whatever year that would have been, I guess. But I remember it was like my first concert I could drink at. So like I had a couple beers right before the show, and then like went in and everything. And, but I was still by far the youngest person in the room by a mile. And like everyone around me was like, 40 to like 70 range, like in there. And I was like 21 and 21. Old? Well, no, but when you're 21, yeah, it's like you stand out,
They were all Robert Plant's age.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I'm not knocking you two, but but you know, it's like when you're 21 and like you're obviously the young person there, and so he like saw that, you know, he could see that it was like a crowd of just like older people who were like, when are you gonna play Stairway, you know, and then I'm just like, oh my god, they're playing Black Country Boy, and it's just like I was so starstruck, and he saw that, and he looked at me and he winked at me, like he fucking like he looked at me and he was like he like acknowledged that I was there, and I swear by that, like it happened, and I was just like, because I was just so giddy with excitement of them, and everyone else around me was just kind of like still and whatever, and I was just like a ball of energy. Like, how am I still sitting down? You know,
there's 75 other people from that same show that are telling that same
story.
Yeah,
and he winked at me.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. It's my story that's special.
No,
but
man, I've had those moments.
But so it's timely because Robert Plant and Alison Krauss are coming to Charlottesville next week, and I get to see them again finally, and I'm super, super stoked about that. I have not listened to the new album, but
are you gonna wink at him? Just like
you got
keep
winking.
Like,
hey, remember me, buddy? Yeah.
What year was that? Like 2000?
It would have been like 2006 or 7. So like, I guess it would have been.
Dude, if he winks
actually,
at
it would
you
have been
this
2007
time,
or 2008.
Forget it. I'll believe you.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
If he winks at you this time, I'll believe.
Well, I'm like.
You should get a cell phone number.
I'm
at
like
that point.
15 rows back this time. So, but I am on the aisle, so maybe he'll see me. I don't know. But but yeah, so that's why this tune's on there.
All right. Led Zeppelin,
Black Country Woman.
Let's give it a listen. All right, Led Zeppelin,
Black
always
Country
classic.
Woman.
Yep, classic.
Good song. I'd still love Led Zeppelin, like their music, but like, there's some weird cats, man. And like, the more I learn about like how much was stolen, and like so many of the songs were like uncredited, or they just took Jimmy Page just completely ripped off.
Yeah,
like Jake Holmes.
Yes and no. I would say though, it's like, I mean, yes, absolutely. As far as like, I definitely don't think that they were the most guilty of bands in that era.
They especially the British bands. It
and
was
they
all
did,
just American dudes.
Yeah, and I can't remember if like some of these artists they ended up having to give credit because of lawsuits and whatever. They do give some credit where credit is due on the album, like where they actually list like
Jimmy
the
Page.
other.
You got to pull teeth.
I mean,
like,
yes,
I think he just like in the last 10 years admitted that Dazed and Confused was.
But you know, they had like, was it like Willie Dixon's listed on like several, like most, like half their tunes.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, some of them are just straight like cover. Like a lot of them are, and even that, like I didn't realize until maybe like 15 years ago, like how much are like cover songs.
Yeah.
Also, I know you're getting, so I'm really into conspiracy stuff and like occult weirdness and just weird things. Look into
playing Stairway backwards.
No. John Bonham's death being a sacrifice for Jimmy Page's occult activities.
Okay. Wow. All right. I'll check
awesome,
that out.
Dude. And it's legit. I'm so into it. Because he was all like Aleister Crowley'd out. He like bought Aleister Crowley's house and all this stuff and like all this weird stuff.
All right. Well, if we see tomorrow that all of Jimmy Page's social media is just a picture of a rusty pan, then we'll know that he was.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Jimmy Page being into anything occult.
No, I mean, like
his
outfit, like the whole Zoso
stuff.
He's
like, very, he's very open about.
Yeah, like he bought Aleister Crowley's like mansion. and stuff and was like doing rituals and stuff.
Dude,
it's
the movie that we were just talking about during the song, the song remains the same movie. There's like that clip of him playing a hurdy-gurdy. I think it's actually. It was either at the place where they recorded, like when the levee breaks, whatever that, I forget the name of that house, but like the house where they had like the big vault entrance and all that. Mm-hmm. It was either that house or it was at like the Aleister Crowley house. But either way, it's like Jimmy Page like sitting on the grass next to a pond playing a hurdy-gurdy. And then he like turns to the camera and his eyes turn, like they like put red filters on his eyes and like make him look like Satan, you know?
Yeah.
Like, no, he's
his like flame pants or
what, weird
and outfit, like that's all like a thing. It's,
other fun fact, the action figure over my desk. I literally have a Jimmy Page action figure wearing like the Saturn Dragon pants. Like, I've got all that.
Yeah, but dig into that this weekend. I'll see you Monday.
All right, man.
All right, so what do we got going on? What's Trey? What's Trey up to after Led Zeppelin?
So next one is the other greatest band of all time in most people's opinion, Fat Old Son by Pink Floyd. specifically a live version by David Gilmour in recent years. I was, in full disclosure, looking for the Remember That Night rendition of it. It was the name of a concert that he did at the Royal Albert Hall 2017, somewhere in there, give or take. That was my favorite version, but this Live in Gdansk version that Spotify has is pretty legit too. The Pink Floyd studio album is also great too.
What's your favorite Floyd studio album?
Metal easily,
okay.
and Echoes is by far my favorite.
So you like got into the later ones. You like chose those.
Oh yeah, no, I started recent and went backwards, and it got better as I went. Like my most listened to song might be "See Emily Play." Like that might be my. It's not my favorite Pink Floyd song, but I listen to that and like Corporal Clay I listen to all the time.
One of my favorite songs is "Seamus."
Yes, yeah, no, she has dude, and then like the Live at Pompeii version where they're just like they have the dog on stage and he's like holding the microphone, he's like scratching, he's like poking him. Yeah, it's like, but it's like it sounds really cool. But like metal is by far my favorite.
Wow.
And Echoes specifically is.
I remember when those came out.
Wait, what?
I remember seeing those albums at Walmart because those were like 80s, 90s albums.
Metal was like, because metal was before Dark Side. Like,
was it?
Yeah, no, metal, like the wall was late. Yeah.
That's the one that had like the big pillar on the front.
Big pillar on the front.
Let me see.
Well, there's like, the Division Bell is the one that had like the big Easter Island like Well, it wasn't Easter Island.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
But no. I went early. I went early with them, big time.
I find it interesting how much live music you listen to, because like I hate live recordings. Both of you listen to a lot of live stuff.
No, I'm excited about this.
I hate it, and I'm realizing why. I mean, the musicians you listen to are way better musicians than the musicians I listen to generally. Like the songs are different, but you know what I mean. Like for the stuff I listen to, the recorded version is usually way better than any live version. And that's where I think this comes from, because this all sounds good, like, you know what I mean, like I'm not like upset about hearing you guys' live stuff. I just, when you listen to a bunch of live stuff, and then you did too, and I was like, what's up with that? Like I don't generally like live stuff.
But that's the good stuff.
I'm totally with Corrin on that.
Certain types of musicians, the live stuff is the good stuff, because it's they riff on it and they feel it and they vibe and all that sort of thing.
And for me it's like, especially, and we'll get into this actually in the next song, is when I'll talk more about this specifically if we want to like hold this conversation a little bit. But I changed the way that I started listening to music after I got into number 7 on our list, and so actually I'd say let's save that conversation for the next.
I was thinking a Momentary Lapse of Reason and Division Bell. I really remember when the Division Bell came out.
Yeah, and that Pulse tour was like, I mean, that was the shit. Like that, I've got that DVD. I watched that shit all the time. Like that's Pulse was the Pink Floyd tour.
Pink Floyd's another one. Never got into them.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Dude, I just remember laying in the floor in Corey's bedroom, stoned, black lights on, posters are glowing, and listening to Animals.
Animals is like, Jesus, dude.
That's like mind-blowing when you're a high school kid, because you're just like,
it's mind-blowing at any age. Like
Animals is insane.
It really is.
I mean,
that's like, as far as an album goes, that's absolutely top 5 of all time for me.
I remember
absolutely.
It was before I was like heavy into punk. I listened to a lot of like classic rock, Led Zeppelin and stuff, and like I remember going to this kid's house, and he had the whole setup dark, and we were watching like Dark Side of the Moon and listening to it and doing like the whole thing, and I was just like, this shit sucks.
But you'd probably be in like the Syd Barrett days, like Pipers of the Gates of Dawn.
Maybe.
Like the stuff outside, like the See Emily Plays of the world, like those things.
And then I just never really gave it like a chance. Like I just decided, like I hate the song Money, and it comes on the classic rock station.
That's fair. That's fair.
And so I've never given it a deep dive and like find what I like, just because I don't know. At some point,
you need some Interstellar Overdrive in your life.
And plus, I've never seen them. That's one of the things too. A lot of the stuff you guys like, especially like the Fish and stuff, like it's really like, if it hits you at the right time and you see it, it's totally changing. Where for me, it was just like I just needed more energy. It wasn't about like feeling, like letting shit wash over you. It's like engaging. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I see
it's
that.
just like a different mindset when I was little than when you were little. And I just find it interesting. Like,
yeah.
You know, I'm probably the dumb one in this conversation. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I get
but
you.
like, it's just interesting, the differences. Yeah. And I appreciate it. Cool.
I definitely want to follow up on that, but I'll follow up during my intro to the next song.
All right, let's do it.
But, all right, but real quick, the reason that I picked this song, like the reason that it's on here, as Corey was actually mentioning during the Cortez the Killer song, he was talking about, or no, I guess it was Came From My Way Home. He was talking about Dave Matthews introducing Steve Winwood to the Hall of Fame with like his story about Dear Mr. Fantasy pulling him out of a bad drug trip, that stereotypical scene that so many of us who've ever done those things have experienced. Fat Old Son was mine. That was, I had the stereotypical, like, you know, hell-raising mushroom trip that like made you just want to jump out of a window and be like, oh my God, what is going on? Like that whole situation. And I just needed to calm down. I was in my bedroom, like alone, like I was in the proverbial safe space, you know what I mean? And just couldn't shake whatever mental turmoil was on my brain that day. And it was like nothing had happened. It was just the, you know, wrong place, wrong time, shouldn't have taken it that night kind of situation. And the only thing that got me through that night was I was like scrolling through albums that I had, and I was on what was it? It was a Rhapsody was the name of the music service at the time. It was like some subscription I got through Best Buy, like some thing from the like, you know, 20 years ago. And the album cover of Adam Hart Mother that Fat Old Son comes off of is just a picture of a spotted like black and white cow standing on a pristine green field. And it just made me smile. I'm on mushrooms and I'm like, that looks happy. Like that like I need this in my life. And I looked at that and I was like, Fat Old Son, that also sounds like what I need. And I clicked on it and I literally kept that one song on repeat for the next like
3 hours.
At least like 4 or 5 plus hours. Like I clicked the repeat button and laid on my bed.
It hit you bad in the beginning.
What'd you say?
It hit you bad in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then it's just like, but I literally like I put it on repeat and I went to sleep and I woke up with it still playing. You know what I mean? It was like I spent half the trip just listening to this on repeat, and it was like, and it soothes my soul every time I have a real like a catastrophic day. I put the song on still because it centers me in a very profound way, and it's just like one of the most beautiful songs ever written in my opinion. So,
all right.
Here you go. And this version rips, by the way.
All right. I'm looking forward
He's
to
an
it.
old man, but goddamn, his voice got better with age.
When did you say this is from?
Oh, this was like a few years ago. This was like less than 10 years ago.
Okay.
This is like kind of recent David Gilmour.
Just 2008.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's a little bit older, but still. Like,
yeah.
Still, I mean, 15 years.
Yeah,
like,
it's
recent.
All right, let's hit it. Fat Old Son.
So now just imagine yourself waking up out of a terrible mushroom trip.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I can like smell the drugs you were doing back then.
Well, that's because I'm sitting in a hot shipping container.
No, I'm just saying. Like,
I'm sweating out last night.
No, but like, because I've also always had this theory of like decades of music are dictated by the popular drugs.
That's very much a real thing.
And,
absolutely.
I mean, the acid in the 60s.
Yeah, and just even like, you know, everybody, all the young kids are on like Xanax and all, and like ADHD pills, and they're doing mumble rap and
Guilty
shit.
on
You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm just saying, it's like
the style of music now.
like
totally.
it really just like, and if you're in a stage of your life where you're doing certain drugs, certain music really.
So it's absolutely a thing for sure. I mean, this playlist is kind of a journey of that, through my adult life.
Toxicological.
Yeah.
Journey. All right. So
now we get. Speaking of which, now we're in the acid phase.
All right.
So yeah, Divided Sky. Here we go. Our first true journey into Fish. We had the little teaser with Portland Jam in the beginning, but that was just like,
this is a full.
That was the palate cleanser. This is
a full Fish
song. This is a fully composed Fish song.
This is your entree.
All right.
Yeah, there we go. But you know, it's like the first several minutes of it are, if they're on a good night, it's played note for note exactly the same. and then there's a pause in the middle, and then after the pause there's a little bit more composition, and then there's like the jam that comes after it, which it stays in the song structure. It doesn't go type 2, as we say in the Fish world, where it leaves the song structure and it's a totally different key, time signature, and everything. But no, so you can still recognize basically the rule of type 1 versus type 2 is type 1. If you listen to 10 seconds of it, you will recognize what song it's from. If it's type 2, you'll have no fucking idea what it was from. Okay. That's kind of my layman's rule of like what that is. But yeah, Divided Sky is the song. Technically, there was a different long Fish composition that I would say changed the way that I listen to music. That one is at the shortest version, 21 minutes long, so I opted for this one instead to save you guys a few minutes. But the type of composition in this song and You Enjoy Myself, which was the other one, it genuinely changed the way that I listen to music for the rest of my life. I mean, like through today, like I completely have a different relationship with music because I didn't like this song the first few times I listened to it. Honestly, I was like, this just sounds.
So you're gonna love it, Christopher.
Well, yeah, it sounds like frenetic, just chaos. And then when I heard it several times, I was like, wait, it's identical to I realized that it was controlled chaos, and it's very much designed to make you feel a certain thing. And it's the only song that that I'm aware of, like just, off the top of my head, that actually has a palindrome, a musical palindrome in the middle of it, where it like plays into itself, and there's like a center, and then it switches over and plays backwards. Like it's a brilliant composition. It sounds like nothing else from any other band I've ever heard, and it completely, that the style that is in this song has completely rewired my brain permanently, like completely. I have no idea how you guys will respond to this, and like if you guys hate it, whatever.
I can tell it's your style of thing because you need a fucking spreadsheet to enjoy it.
I am the numbers guy. Yeah, it is.
That's how I feel like experimental jazz. Yeah, sometimes it's just like controlled chaos in music. I'm like, I don't get it, but then you watch the guys that do get it, and they're just like, they're just like, oh.
So like, imagine being in a crowd of 30,000 people, and everyone around you knows every note that's about to happen in the song, and you're just hearing noise. But everyone around you, that's really the trick of Fish, is like when you go to a live show, that's when it clicks, because again, you will be in a sea of like 20 to 30,000 people. Everyone is going to be clinging to every single note of this song and like waiting for it and like pumped for it and jumping with it. And then you're going to be like,
and then as soon as it's over, they go on their forums and like, oh, did you hear that? And then
he missed that one note 3 minutes in. It fucking sucked. Right. I'm that guy.
All right. Well, I'm excited to hear about it.
Close your eyes, Christopher. All right. Prepare for the journey. Here we go.
Give it a whirl.
Divided Sky, Fish, live at, what's that,
Clifford Ball. Okay. They're the peak of the Fish experience.
All right, let's do it.
That was at their festival that had there were like 90,000 people at that festival. It was the largest concert event in North America that year, and nobody knew about it until after it started. And then MTV started sending out these people to be like, what the hell is with this like concert festival in an Air Force base in Plattsburgh, New York that like nobody knows about? But there's like almost 100,000 people there. Like, how does that happen? And so then it became a big deal after it started. It was all word of mouth. It was just like, that was just all the Fish heads just like went to this place. And but there was, 90,000 people in 1996. So like August of 96 is when that show was. That it was like, nobody knew about it except for the Fish world.
All right, Fish trivia. Which dates specifically in August?
16, 17, 18.
Fuck, dude. Yes. Are you sure? That's the date. Jesus Christ. All right, and we're back.
All right. So I gave that.
I'm the numbers guy.
Yeah. I gave that a good solid listen. I did have to pee at minute.
You did 17. Have to pee, and Corey skipped 10 minutes of it. Other than that, we got through it.
I did give a good solid listen. I really, honestly, I got to tell you this. I didn't like it.
I mean, Trey said he didn't like it the first.
No. Yeah, no, I genuinely did not like it.
Here's
at first.
the deal. I can't even imagine how you write a song like that. It is incredibly impressive. Like, to write a song like that and then have 4 dudes on board. You said it's just the 4 of them, right?
It's just the 4 of them.
Yeah.
Well, like, they have. There's a guy who he's like a childhood friend of Trey. He writes. He's like their lyricist.
Okay.
And wait, as you may have noticed, that song has one line in it, and it's "Divided sky, the wind blows high," and that's it. Yeah. So but they have other songs that have actual lyrics, and But actually, I think Tom Marshall, the lyricist guy, I think he actually he actually was a part of this. He co-wrote that one line, but I think so.
So in the Fish world, I enjoy Slip Stitch Pass.
Okay.
How is that perceived in the Fish world?
It's
an album, so it's not good, right?
If I'm not mistaken, it's a live album, right?
Yeah, it is live.
And it's one of the only, I think it's the only album that they put together, they stitched together, as the name implies, a bunch of different live things. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's the one that has a super long, somewhat, I don't want to say uninspired, but a little bit of meandering tweezer on it. And I've known many people who, as a joke, will put that on at a jukebox as let's just see who in this bar is paying attention. So if that answers your question, then
so the one Fish album I like is not approved by
but they did I mean, any live thing to me is better than studio Fish 99.9% of the time. I do have one studio version on here, which we'll get to later, but
Train. Can you guys hear that train at home?
I'm pretty sure they can. I'm sure their ears are bleeding.
No, because they turned it off after the last song.
All right.
So, but it is incredibly impressive, and I will give you that. And and I can, it's just it doesn't suit my brain.
Yeah, no, I get it.
All right, we're gonna follow that up now.
Okay.
With a bit of a break.
This is okay. Go ahead.
No, but which is Fish?
Oh, there's more. There's Fish.
All right, the next one is the
Fish
other.
for dinner, Fish
this
for dessert.
This is the other. This is the other end of the Fish spectrum. So this is 2001, and all right. So this song is on this list because this is where I get a little bit chronologically out of order. But for people who just wanted to listen to the playlist straight through, I think it had a good musical order to it. Everything plays into itself well, and keys and signatures and everything. However, 2001 always holds a special place in my heart because 2001 is by far my favorite movie of all time. 2001 Space Odyssey is just the best fucking movie ever made. And that's actually when I was going to talk about how my childhood was dominated by Twilight Zone, and I'm staring at a picture of Rod Serling lighting a cigarette across from me in this podcast studio. And and X-Files was something I watched every Sunday night when I was young. Every Twilight Zone marathon that was on the Sci-Fi Channel or whatever else, I couldn't get enough of it. And that was my childhood in a nutshell. It was just devouring all the supernatural shit that we talk about at lunch and just all that stuff. I've always been endlessly fascinated by it. So that said, when I found out that my favorite band, one of their prominent cover tunes is the theme song for 2001 Space Odyssey, it blew my mind, and they jammed the fuck out of it. And it's it's awesome. It's fun. It's bouncy. It's so the opposite of Divided Sky that we just listened to. And then this version in particular, is my favorite Fish show. I wasn't there because I didn't go to Japan in 2001. It was 2000. It was 2001, played in the year 2000. I think July 2000, Corey, if you want to be the date, I can't remember. Don't ask me the date of that show. It was July of 2000.
What, this album, this version?
The Fukuoka 2001. Or was it June? It was 6/14/2000, wasn't it?
Yeah. 6/14/2000. Okay.
So yeah, there we go. So anyway, I had a little audible brain.
Hey, what's your fiance's birthday?
No, that's a wrap, son.
Shit. Yeah. She's listening right now.
Yeah.
It's
wait, listen.
All right. I know Sheila's birthday, but that's because it's real easy.
Yeah, Kasha's 11/12. That's easy. 11/12.
I think it's October 13th. Or what's it, September 13th?
She needs to put it on an album.
October 13th. Let's tell her that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
you need to put it on your Fish spreadsheet.
Well, it's funny because she's going to be mentioned in 2 songs, and now I feel like a major asshole. But yeah. So anyway, so this song right here is probably Portland Jam is up there, but this might be my most listened to Fish track. Definitely this show, but it was from Fukuoka, Japan. June 14th, 1990 or 2000. Yeah. Sorry, wrong decade. But then. They famously, I'm sure they tripped many times at many shows, but this was the famous Mushroom Tea show where the first set they were sober, and then they at set break drank mushroom tea and then came back with this set of music that is the most magical hour and a half I've ever listened to in my entire life, and I listened to it weekly. No exaggeration. It is my whenever I need to do a long numbers project or I'm working on a big spreadsheet or something, I put on the beginning of this set and I just let it go, and it is my mind palace happy music that just plays in the background while I sort everything out in my head and just journey through the universe. But this is one of my favorite just recordings ever, and this show is very special to everyone in the Fish world, and it's you can hear the mushrooms. I don't care what people say. You can hear it. It comes through loud and clear, and it's very cool the way that you can hear the every 20 minutes in that show. There's a wave and then a dip and a wave and then a dip, and it's you can just hear it going through their intestines. You know what I mean? It's it's fun.
This was in Japan.
It was in Japan at some nightclub. Yeah,
it's interesting.
It's
Japan
has
such strict drug laws.
Yeah,
maybe.
They said very clearly, if you listen to the show, it's they say at the end of the first set, I don't think they specifically say mushroom tea, but they say that they're gonna imbibe in some local something or other, you know, and but it's you can, if you listen to the whole show, it's painfully it's the first set is cookie cutter songs, the way that they appear on the album, and they're good, nothing special, but it's a good clean set, and then it's just fucking weird. It is just night and day, and but it's the best kind of weird. It's fun, happy weird. It's not weird they're not playing their instruments, they're just hitting notes. It's driven. It's good.
So what is this called exactly?
This is 2001.
It's just 2000.
You'll recognize it. Recognize it.
All right. Round 3 of Fish. Let's do it. All right. Good Lord. I forgot what we were talking about last time, but it was good. That was better. At least it was a structured song.
Hey man, there's nothing better for background noise than staring at a spreadsheet.
We did have a good conversation.
We had a good conversation with that.
It's definitely
it conduces good synapse reactions. You know what I mean?
I will agree with that. There was nothing wrong with that.
No.
The first one or the last one, I had a harder time with just because it was
because you were trying to actively listen. We were not actively listening. But we were in good conversation.
Yeah, also, that jam is just way more. It's not a heavily composed math metal thing like you were talking about. It's not that realm, which is a totally different animal.
Thing.
But yeah.
So of the 3 Fish songs we've heard so far, I like that one the most.
There's one more left.
I would but the last one's a studio ballad. That's that's
But I'm so interested
the low hanging fruit.
I'm so interested in hearing.
But yeah.
But yeah,
all right. That's 2001.
Yeah, I honestly don't even remember what we were talking about before then. It feels like a long time.
Well, one thing
ago.
I do want to make sure I get back to is I think I touched on it. I was talking about it during Fat Old Son, and then I was I'm going to save it for Divided Sky. And I think I touched on it for a second. But that, especially Divided Sky, but also the way that 2001 jam evolves is that profoundly changed how I approach all music. I can't. I don't know. It's so hard to describe, but it's anything that has a sterilized studio sound to it or anything. I just immediately get judgmental and that's not necessarily a good thing, but it is I have a hyper aware and hyper tuned ear to people either writing compelling music or phoning it in. And that includes me going to a Fizz show. Like, I want to make that clear too. I think I was telling you guys outside before we were doing this, like, I've been to a lot of Fizz shows that I was about to
83
write.
83 exactly.
Well, yes, but when I was hitting about 30, around the 30 to 40 range, I lost interest in that band, and I was like, they're phoning it in, they're a fucking nostalgia act, like whatever. And then that fateful Lake Tahoe show, and I think it was 2014. It was the bitter end of July, and I think it was 2014. But it was the Tahoe Tweezer show. Anyone in the Fizz world knows what I'm talking about.
Somebody's gonna respond, be like,
and that was like that. No, but
Tahoe
that like
Tweezer.
No, that night like changed my. It
Turn in your flip flops.
Anyone in the Fizz world would back me up on this shit. Like, we're sitting in a parking lot behind the like Harrah's, yeah, that casino in fucking like State Line, Nevada. And we're like literally in a bleacher in a parking lot that was set up for that night on like, it was a Tuesday night and a Wednesday night, and it was the Wednesday.
Did you go from like the Reno side? Like, did you go through Reno to get like?
Well, we flew into Reno and then got a rental car down. But yeah, and then yeah, so we were like staying in California and then went to the show in Nevada, which was literally like a half mile away from each other, you know, because it's literally State Line, Nevada is the name of the town. But yeah, so that was like, I was ready to write off Fizz like before that show, and then that happened.
Tahoe Tweezer.
And then they came back with a vengeance after that, and they were like, they kind of relearned who they were and like started getting real creative on stage again, and like they've been crushing it ever since, like absolutely crushing.
Dude, I was thinking, do you have a fish name?
What do you mean? Do I have a fish
Wait, there's
name?
fish names?
What do you?
Well, I mean,
I'm not aware of this.
Well, I was just asking if there is a such thing. Like, you know, if you hike the
Like
AT,
Bubbles?
No, if you hike the AT, you get a name. If you go to Burning Man, you get a name. Like, there's like, you know, like, are you just referred to as Trey when you're at a fish show?
Yeah,
or people know you?
How many people are like, what? Your name's Trey?
Well, it's funny, like
Probably
every
all the time.
every time, because like the fun thing about a Fizz show is like you always become best friends with your neighbors. Like that's just a given, and no matter
How
if you
funny
go,
would it be if you got to a fish show and you're like, God, I fucking hate these people. Yeah.
I mean, literally, that's never happened to me before. Like, out of the 80s, sometimes I've seen them. That's
83
literally
exactly.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna look it up right now.
Oh, he's got the spreadsheet on his phone.
I like.
No, it doesn't.
It's called fish.net, guys. It's fucking.
Oh wait, it documents for you.
Well, yeah, you just
it in.
click on the whenever you go to a show, you check the box and then it adds all your stats in there. So.
Oh, you got stats,
dude. I wasn't joking. This is a
spreadsheet.
band,
This is a super. No, it is like absolutely. It's a spreadsheet band. Like, are you kidding me? No, this is like.
This episode is brought to you by Excel. Excel. If you need to keep records.
78.
So
you were so far off.
I was doing the 6 inches.
Turn in
I was
your
doing that
flip-flops,
thing.
you poser.
Yeah, so whatever.
Dude, I knew you knew nothing about
so show
78 shows.
Show 78 was February 26th of this year. So
dude,
fuck you guys.
And you run the numbers here. You run the numbers
although
here.
to be in my defense, I'm going to 2 shows in Burgettstown this summer, which will put me at 80. So.
But you said 83.
But then if they do the fabled 3-night run at Hampton this fall, I'll be 83 this year.
Oh, how does that work on multiple night shows? Does that count as one, or does it?
No, it's one night as one show. They
okay.
don't play the same. They don't play the same shit every night.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you go to a 3-night run, they will not repeat any songs. Like that's how it goes. They did the Baker's Dozen up in New York from Madison Square Garden. They played 13 nights. Baker's Dozen. Heavy phone drop there. And then they did not repeat a single song for 13 goddamn shows. 2 sets a night, man.
2 sets a night?
15 to 20 songs.
Yeah.
15 to 20 songs a night. It was 2 sets a night plus an encore. Did not repeat a single goddamn song. Think about that shit.
I once saw 25 to Life in
I once saw an asshole play guitar.
No, at Twisters, and they played Keeping It Real 3 times in the same show.
Yeah, they did no repeats. 3
times.
You know,
because they didn't have a lot of hits.
And
at 25 to Life.
Yeah, and people come in at different stages of the show. You know, just in case they missed it on the first one.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, the way that they structured that one was like it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday off, Tuesday, Wednesday, night off, Friday, Saturday. So it was like you were like catching multiple runs basically, but they treated it, and like every night had a donut flavor theme. So it was like, you know, like Strawberry Jam Night was like the big one, where it was like they specifically pretty much they only played songs that they never jam out, and they would do like a 30-minute jam on a song that has literally never had a jam in it before. And so it was like they would just do silly shit like that. And like maple syrup night was like a lot of Neil Young. They played the Canadian national anthem, like just, you know, goofy random shit like that. But anyway, so, yeah.
All right, where are we at?
You're like, get me out of here.
Well, number 9.
I told you, man, give me some red wine. I'll ramble for hours.
Dude, number 9. You should have played number 9. Someone's got to do that.
Yeah, someone's got to do it.
Don't,
well, my ending, my number 11.
By the time we get to 9, I've had several.
My number 11 is my cliche, like silly song, but right. Number 9 is "Baby Bitch" by Ween. So this was this is kind of sticking to chronological at this point. So Ween is a funny band for me because like I actively disliked them up until I'd say probably less than like about 10 years ago, 2013, 2014 sounds about right. And I like they have all, I mean, as the name of this song shows, they just have a bunch of very childish, immature, vulgar, repulsive song names.
No way.
Put the coke on my dick is another one. Baby Bitch is one of them. Like, and I was always like, this is stupid. Like what band needs to rely on like childish song names or whatever? Apparently, a lot of them do. Yeah,
I got a band that I will tell you.
No. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But I was just like, this is stupid. Like, I don't need to waste my time on them. Whatever. Fish plays one of their songs, and it's a great cover. It's of the song "Roses Are Free," and there was a song that they played that song in at Blossom in Ohio several years ago. I think 2014, somewhere around there. And I was listening to that show, and I was like playing along on guitar, and I was like learning how to play "Roses Are Free," just watching the webcast of Fish doing it. And at the very end of that song, we'd broken up at this point, and Trey was like, "Also, by the way, like." I'm trying to think of like what their actual, because in Ween it's Gene Ween and Dean Ween, but they're actually like Aaron Freeman and I forget Diener's actual name. But anyway, he called them by their actual names and was like, guys, please get back together and write some music. Like, this is silly that you're broken up. Like, you guys are so talented. We love you. Please, I'm calling you through the universe. Get back together. And I remember listening to that show again. I was playing guitar along to it. And I was like, man, if my like favorite musician in the world is like begging a band to get back together while on stage at his own show, I should probably give them a second chance.
You would think so.
You know, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to go on YouTube and just find like the most watched thing from Ween and just start from there and see where the rabbit hole takes me. It immediately took me to the very beginning of the Live at Chicago release that they did. And I have never, ever fallen in love with the band so quickly as I did with it. Was by the end of the second song, I was replaying it from the beginning. I was like, I need to listen to this. This is like the best goddamn music I've ever heard in my entire life. And they just do quick pop versions of songs that are hysterical. Like, their lyrics are hilarious and on point. They're like also poignant and heartfelt, but like they can play any genre. Like, they famously have an album called 12 Golden Country Greats that is an album that has only 10 songs on it. So right out of the gate, it's just like, they're calling it 12 Golden Country Greats. It's a 10-song album. Like, right out of the gate, you know something's up. And it is just like a relentless attack on pop country music, but it is written better than any pop country artist ever has written a pop country song. And it's like, but then they play these like raunchy songs and these like raw, like angry songs. Like, they have the whole spectrum through and through.
All right.
And they only play like short to the point, like punchy fucking songs. And when you go to a show theirs, it's like you'll get 30 songs and it is just like bam, bam, bam. They're just hitting you in the face and they're fucking awesome. Like, but so this song So I got into them like right after just like a brutal breakup that I had, where it was like I was engaged to this person. Actually, I went to the Lake Tahoe show with that person, and you know, I went through a bad phase after that. And like this was actually the song that completely solidified me as like loving Ween, was when this song came on, and I was like, I have never heard such a brutally raw yet beautifully constructed and perfectly performed breakup song, where it's like, yeah, they're saying all the words that I wanted to say, but they're wrapping it up in this like heartfelt ballad. But then you listen to the lyrics and you're like, these guys want fucking blood. Like, it's great. It's fucking great. All right. That's my...
What's the name of this song?
Baby Bitch.
Baby Bitch by Ween.
By Ween, live in Chicago.
Let's do it. All right, Ween. That was good. Like, you know, it's more my palate.
Yeah.
I was saying, like, I've been through some breakups, and I'm glad I didn't hear that song, because that one's like, I don't need like more fuel to the fire.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But sometimes you need that. You
know,
like,
like for me in the place that I was at, it was cathartic. I 100% understand how it would be toxic, and like, and I'm sure a lot of people. Just the name of the song is toxic. Like I very much that's why I prefaced it with like, I thought that they were just like a vulgar, childish band or whatever, and then I started really listening to it and like understanding who they were, and I was like, oh, they're just like high school fuckheads who are just being like crazy and like.
But that's the thing,
you know,
like,
and they feel things, like they're all human, and it's like we're all just you know getting through it.
And childish. It's like, I mean, we're grown men. But like at the very core, like, you know what I mean? Especially when we're hurt and upset, like it's just like, it's just like a bunch of layers of shit around a little boy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
That's all I really am. So like, like Jawbreaker was my like breakup band.
Yeah, I definitely need to check that out.
Got me through some stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
But it was funny. So like after I like heard that, just to wrap up that song. So like I put on that album on YouTube and was like watching it, listening to it, and that song came on, and I was like, are they still broken up? Like I was like, I need to see this band. And then I looked it up, and like there were some rumors on the internet that they like might be getting back together, and I was like, all right, we'll hold out. And I think it was within a few days. I want, like, you know, by legend, I want to say it was the next day, but it was literally within a few days after I initially looked it up. They announced they're doing a reunion show, and I was like, I'm going. I don't care where it is. I'm going. Like, this is a sign from the heavens. Like, my favorite musician told me to follow this band, and then they got back together. It's like, I have to go. And they're playing in Broomfield, Colorado, and I bought a pair of tickets, not knowing anyone else who would ever want to go with me to Colorado to go see the Ween reunion show. And then I asked, who at the time was just my sister's boyfriend, who now they're happily married and have a great relationship. But at the time, it was like, I'd met the dude like 3 times, but I knew he was like big into Ween. And I was like, dude, you want, like, I got tickets, like, and I had hotel points for like a room out there. So I was like, dude, get your plane ticket and cover your food, but like we can stay out there for free if you want, and like you can join. And he was like, he was a little skeptical, but he like did it just because it was like, well, why not? Like, what's the worst that could happen? I'll hate your brother and I'll divorce your sister, whatever, you know. And we went and we had an absolute blast. Like we could not have had a better time. It was just I could go on for hours about that experience, but. So yeah, it was fun that rendition of that song led me to take my now brother-in-law to Colorado on Valentine's Day weekend also, which was hilarious. So he like called my sister right before we walked into the show that night, be like, I love you, like, happy Valentine's Day. I'm like, dude, we're going to a concert. So yeah, that was super fun. Like one of the highlights of my life for sure.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was
fun. I always wanted to be like if I ever get rich, like I just want to do stuff like that. Be like, I got 2 tickets to this thing. It's in California, but I'm just taking you. Just pack your bags. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like,
well, the next song is kind of my version of that. So.
All right. So what song is this?
So next up is Waste, another Fish classic. This actually is a Fish classic. Like, if there's one Fish song that people would know, it would be the studio version of Waste. It's like their most radio friendly song by far. It's a beautiful, beautiful little slow ballad. But as I think I mentioned earlier, I go to Cancun for the February fish run, which happens to coincide with my birth. It's always on my birthday week. Half or 2/3 of the time so far it's overlapped with my birthday, but it's like my birthday week, so it's my birthday party basically.
WrestleMania is always on my birthday week.
Hell yeah, it was intentional too, right? Like they did it, just like with Fish with
Vince
Me.
and Candy McMahon made WrestleMania on
totally.
my birthday
It was
week.
like so nice. So I'm glad you know what that feels like. Yeah. So I've never taken a significant other to like the Cancun run before, and I was like super excited. So Sierra, my now fiance, went with me, and we got engaged on that trip. Oh. And yeah, so like she on our first Bumble date, we met on Bumble. We were like sitting in her car after our dinner date, and we were just like listening to music in her car, and like Waste was one of the songs on her playlist, and so I was like, all right, she's like she's got like an in on my favorite band on there, even though it's like not a representative song of my favorite band. It's not one that I really like care that much about.
Did you talk about Fish on your Bumble profile?
Yes, it was front. It was front. It was front and center.
It'd be rude not.
No, exactly. That's how I felt. Like it was front. It was front and center. So no, I'm not going
to know who I am.
Yeah. Well, but also I need to find the other people who are aligned. You know what I mean? Like I need it was both ways. Yeah. I want to be transparent about it, but I also want to like attract people who are okay with that or are part of that scene.
So you're fishing, really.
Kind of, yeah. But so anyway, but she was not a fish head, but she liked that one song, so it was like okay. So we're singing, and then we like we go to our first set of fish shows together in Cancun on the beach, like an all-inclusive resort experience, but Fish also happens to be playing on the sand there, and it's an amazing experience. And the whole time we were joking with like all my other fish head friends that we went with, because it was like a group of us that went. And she was the only non-fish head.
This was last year.
Yeah, well, no, this like 3 months ago. Like, yeah.
Oh, that was her first trip. I thought she.
Yeah, no. She her first trip was it was February 20th or 21st or whatever.
You know what she was getting into, but she did not know.
I knew, and I was like, oh, you're gonna, you're, if nothing else, you'll have endless churros and ceviche, and then there's gonna be some shitty band playing 10 feet in front of you, and it's fine because you can have churros and ceviche and tequila.
And it's a good intro.
I got this piece of metal with an expensive rock in my pocket.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's a whole other story. But anyway, but yeah, so anyway, like the whole time I knew that I was going to be proposing to her on this trip, and it was just weighing on me, but I got it out of the way early so that we could enjoy it as kind of like a pseudo honeymoon kind of experience. And but in the back of my mind, I was like, if they play Waste though, that'll be like the most beautiful thing ever. And I don't think they encored the final night with it, but they like ended the final night with it, and it was like I was ready for it to not be played. I was like, okay, that ship has sailed. They're going to end it in typical Fish fashion with some like heavy rockin' song, and then maybe a ballady type song, and then something else to pick everyone up and send everyone home being like, that was a fucking badass week, And they came out with Waste, and I lost it. I was like full on tears, like, and then my phone started buzzing, and it was like everyone that I went with was like, "You're crying your fucking eyes out right now, aren't you?" Like, guilty as charged. Like, I don't care. This is beautiful.
They did it for you, Trey.
So funny story though.
What happened? They talked to Robert Plant, and he's like, "This guy Trey that I winked at in 1996 is going to be at that show. You better play his song."
Although, funnily enough, I did reach out to the resort and through like the Fish organization, saying like I was going to be proposing, and this is going to be like a big like engagement week. So like, is there anything cool you guys can do? Like,
this is her favorite song, by the way.
Yeah, but well, I didn't mention that part. So that part is just pure blind luck, whatever. But they did like deck out our hotel room with like, I got all these cool like engraved pint glasses and champagne glasses and all this shit, and then they gave us this like wood like fire engraved thing that says like Fish engagement, and it has like a palm tree etched in with fire, and this is like Trey and Sierra at the bottom. And like, oh, it's cool. They like gave us a free like poolside cabana for a day that we could hang out in. Like, it was dope. Like, it was awesome. I'm very glad that I reached out.
There was even a little can in our room that said Waste right on it.
It was awesome. Like they knew.
Like they went above and beyond.
Yeah. It was. Shut up. but no, it was great, and like that run couldn't have ended with a better selection.
I like that story.
So anyway, everyone knows this song. It's beautiful. It's to the point. It's Waste.
All right, Waste by Fish. Yeah, are we rolling?
I mean, we're always rolling.
All right. Yeah, that one was more. Yeah, that was like just a song.
It's a straightforward.
I could
ballad.
definitely, from the other stuff you've played, I could see that Fish heads wouldn't like that. It's like, I mean, it's. I don't know. It's like it sounds like a studio.
There's but it's that's because we did play the studio version. But I will say when they play it live, there's like 99.9% of the time it's on electric, and then there's a solo that comes at the end, like you can hear like the little triplet section at the very end of it in the studio version, but that's like a signature part of it in the live show. So it's like it's not that representative, but I was also trying to save everyone from the 10 to 15 minute song version.
It's interesting, like
that was me cutting a corner.
I know I mentioned that band Jawbreaker earlier, but that song kind of reminded me of the song Fireman by Jawbreaker. It's like, it's heavy, it's a different type of style, but lyrically it kind of felt similar to that.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely be checking them out this weekend for sure.
Check it out, it's good stuff.
But yeah, so the significance of that song is like, it's a pretty little slow ballad. Like, there's nothing super, I mean, it's a nice song. It's a beautiful song, but there's something like super, super intriguing about it. It's not like Divided Sky in my brain where it like changed music forever, but it's meaningful because I got engaged, basically to that song, and like, awesome, and then they just like wrapped up that whole epic experience in like a nice tight bow with that song at the very end. And I was just like, all right, like I looked at Sierra and I was like, are you fucking serious right now? Like, is this actually happening? And we're just like hugging each other on the, like literally toes, like barefoot toes in the sand in Cancun in late February. Just like, it was just the best. Like it couldn't have been better.
That's awesome.
It could not have been better.
It's weird that happens. Like I'm not gonna get the whole story, but I had a similar thing with Sheila when we were in York a couple months ago. And like what? How are they playing this song of all songs?
Yeah,
and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Good. So that was your 10th song.
Yeah.
So this is a story of your life. 11 is coming up, but most Fish.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I find it interesting that you said like you didn't really listen to music until college, and we didn't really touch on that. But why? Like, was your house just not a music house?
Well, no. It was very
like
much
you're in the middle of West Virginia.
My dad. I mean, like my dad's stories of like the shows that he'd been to were fucking crazy. Like, I mean, he saw Pink Floyd on like their Dark Side tour. He always told me about like when he went to the Pittsburgh Civic Center in that arena, and like no one in his friend group knew that like the roof would open up, and they started playing Breathe at the very beginning of like the show on the Dark Side tour, and then they start playing the opening like Heartbeat of Breathe, and the roof opens up, and like all the pot smoke like lifted out of the, like I can remember him telling me that story so many times.
So your dad's into similar music.
Like very much. He hated Fish. Like he hated. I mean, like towards the end, I would like kind of show him stuff. I'm like, Dad, this all came from the stuff that you Trey Anastasio, his favorite band was Band of Gypsies. You know what I mean? It's like that comes clear through. If you listen to Fish, like you can hear that like Leslie amp and that Hendrix guitar coming through like loud and clear, like throughout any Fish show for sure. So he liked aspects of that. But it was my musical taste was very much informed by him, even if he didn't fully like understand it the whole time. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean,
to him, like Fish was like some new dudes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was just like a bunch of 90 kids who were ripping off everyone who he loved when he was growing up. You know, I understand that. I absolutely understand it. And then they play weird shit like Divided Sky. You know,
but it's interesting. Like a lot of people, they go to college and they like rebel. But you like went to college and you're like, oh, I get what he's talking about.
Yeah, I had kind of a weird experience like that where it was I rebelled about very weird specific things, but like for the most part I doubled down.
Yeah.
Where it was like I very much took the truth out of everything that I had been exposed to. And then that was amplified, but then I just kind of ran off in my own direction with a lot of other things, and now I'm kind of sorting out how much truth there is in that, you know.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, yeah. I mean, from what I gather from our conversation, there were like a lot of substances involved, and you like explored your insides, you know. Not a lot of people really get to do that, and
for better or for worse, I very much did that and came out on the other side better off for it. So
yeah, I think that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so bonus round.
This one's fun. Exit music for a film by Radiohead. I'm guessing you're not a big Radiohead fan.
I like Radiohead. I'm not like,
this,
I like it.
This to me is like, I was actually joking with my college roommate this morning, and Will actually. Shout out to Back Pocket Revisions. Anyone
best Bloody Mary mix.
Best goddamn Bloody Mary mix in the country. So backpocketprovisions.com.
They're like getting pretty famous now.
Yeah, I mean, but they're doing pretty damn well.
That's pretty awesome.
They're on the Today Show less than a year ago.
Al Roker.
Yeah, Al Roker gave him a big shout out. But anyway, if you like Bloody Marys, they're the best.
That's the reason I know Trey too.
That's how we all met, and it's one big happy family. But so like back in the day, Will, the guy who founded Back Pocket Provisions, and I used to get inebriated and listen to Radiohead, and had a fantastic time doing so.
It's one of those bands that, like, I just wish I could see them, but I've never seen them.
Dude, I had tickets to one show and I didn't go because I was having a fight with the girl who was involved in Baby Bitch #9 that we listened to earlier. So we ended up not going to that show. But yeah, so I had tickets to a Radiohead show once and I didn't go. So I also have never seen them. I would love to see them live, though.
Totally.
Absolutely. But they're the one that got away, for sure. But this is X Music for a Film. It is the most cliche way to end a playlist of all time, and I don't care. When I was coming up with this list, I was like, this is my chance. I get to end my movie with Exit Music for a Film. Of course I have to. So sorry to everyone who's like, this is bullshit, cliche, whatever. Well, fuck you. I got to do it, so I did it.
I like it. I think that's my
choice, and that's my reasoning, and I stand by it.
Yeah. So tell us.
But I love this song. It's a beautiful song. I'm ending. This is my exit music for my life and my podcast. So I love it. It's
great. We're gonna exit music out, and then we'll wrap it up here, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it.
All right, Radiohead. Yeah, of course, man. That's classic. And we were just talking about like when that record came out, like it. I think you're right about I said earlier, it's like less in your face of Dark Side of the Moon of like times changing, you know, like
because I was saying that
things are real close to being real different, and like even like art styles changed like when this record came out, and like
it was 97, so like the Y2K whole like what's gonna happen, all these different like there was a lot going on.
Yeah, and like. Computers were it was still a pain in the ass to do production on them, but like it was just like starting, and if you were like ahead of that curve, and to put out something, and even like you guys said, it was like a headphone album. Like there weren't many headphone albums out. Yeah, you know, like headphones were good enough because prior to that they were just some Sony things that just barely fit on your heads, you know.
But getting that like stereo sound, because like their production values were insane. Like especially considering who they were. Like they were just a bunch of like fuckheads who were just like messing around with like electronic. Like Johnny Greenwood famously, I think his like was it his audition? I think it was either his audition or his like first practice sessions. He like literally, I think because he's like their guitarist, but he also does a lot of like keys and computer shit because like it's Radiohead, so they don't really have instruments, they have sounds, you know. And like Johnny Greenwood specifically, like he didn't even turn the power on. Like he just like pretended he was playing shit. Just like the band was like, why don't you like tweak that key a little bit? And like it was funny because he was just, I don't know, just the whole experience with that band is just like crazy. But the fact that Johnny Greenwood, who ended up like composing like the soundtrack for There Will Be Blood and like all this other stuff. Like his start was like tricking this band into thinking that he was actually playing an instrument in the first place. Like
Sid Vicious, the whole
thing. Yeah, exactly. It's like that whole. It's just so funny to me. Like, but then they have such like a deep production value quality to their sound. They're like, how could you possibly let something like that? How could that be unnoticed? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's funny. But anyway, I love Radiohead. Like they're the best.
It's good. Trey, I think we've said everything.
I've worn everyone out.
No, I mean like this was like
your time has come to an end.
Yeah, it's time to turn on your flip-flops.
5 years later. All right.
No, but this was good. This was, like I said, I really was trying to come into this like open-minded about the Fish situation, and like it's only because of you specifically. Like,
thank you.
Plenty of people try to get me to listen to Fish, and I told them to fuck right off. You know,
and now there's one more on your list.
No, but like I was like no, because I reversed it. You know, I met you first, and I was like, nah, I like this guy, and he loves Fish, which normally would be a
you gotta grapple.
But I already liked you a lot, so. So I'm glad to actually like get a good introduction, and I doubt that I'll be a Fish head anytime soon. But I think the right setting, I might really dig it.
Yeah, nice.
Which, if you would have asked me this,
and some like dreadlocks,
I doubt it'll go that far. But you never know.
We'll see what happens.
Flip flops? You mean doing flip flops in the metal shop?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even own a pair of flip flops, man. Well, I owned one.
When's your birthday?
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Are rainbows the go-to?
Well, now, I mean, yes, I will say, so like I had a pair of rainbows like 10 years ago, and they lasted me for a few years. And given the fact that you wear them every day, it's like that's.
I tried it, and they get too slippery.
And I'm less a fan. And like in the thread in the seam on one of the straps came out after like a week, and I was like, "How? Hold on." So I don't know. Maybe Rainbow's gone downhill recently, but
I tried them at one time. I'm Birkenstock through and through.
Yeah,
I'm a Birkenstock man. But like,
I used to be a Rainbow guy, but now I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, maybe I think Birkenstocks will probably be my next once these start to give.
So I can never imagine Christopher in Birkenstocks either.
It will never happen.
Ever since I was in high school, it's funny. Like in the summer, I have Birkenstock tan lines on my feet.
Nice.
I just don't get it, man.
It's been that way since I was like 17.
We just live different lives.
Yeah. Well, I also like.
I got to be prepared to fight or run.
Fun fact to get like
any of those things.
To get like weird medical on you guys. I mean, Corey probably knows this.
Yeah, I know
like,
your foot.
I have a club foot, so it's like shoes physically hurt me when I wear them. It's like it's super uncomfortable to wear shoes. So it's like I wear flip flops but then like my left leg is like an inch shorter than the other one, so I have this weird impact thing going on. But it's like I don't know. That's the only way that I'm comfortable is if I'm like not wearing an actual shoe. Mostly because of that. So.
Yeah, good thing you fell into the fish world.
Yeah, so now it's like it's socially acceptable.
Instead of like you love fish instead of like Murphy's Law.
And then when I stumble around and like lose my balance, it's like I'm not drunk. I'm just
you can't wear like steel-toed docks.
Yeah, no, it's So it's a little bit.
It turned out for the best.
Yeah,
and that, ladies and gentlemen, is what this is all about.
Yeah,
it always turns out for the best. Trey, I thank you very much. We like to do a.
Hold on.
Actually, we got.
For those of us not watching and just listening, Corey's grabbing ice out of the basket with his bare hands.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah, you don't have anything else.
Can I get one?
Yeah, we're gonna have to make a little.
Give me a little. I don't care who had that glass. It's fine. The whiskey will kill it.
She's too young to be gross.
And again, for those of you not watching, Corey is gently pouring that whiskey right.
Yeah, so we like to end in with cheers.
ASMR.
We also like to end with a code that you come up with for a discount that you come up with, which for you will be 0%, but it's got to be some sort of percentage.
What's your code and what's your percentage for the people listening?
I say flip-flop 15.
No, my code is 333 and the percentage is 33% off.
What? Dude, you're the numbers guy. That's what people are going to get at when they're like making an order at blanccreators.com.
If we get 20 people ordering this weekend at 33% off, I'll still be happy.
It's up to him. It's Trey.
Okay.
So it's 333.
333, like the number 3, the number 3, then so it's literally just 333.
And you get 33% off. Yeah. From the Excel man himself.
And if we want to limit it to the first 30 people, that's fine too.
No, man, you put it on.
But Trey is all threes, dude. Like it's all threes. It's all threes.
You can't limit it to 30 people if it's 333. You gotta limit it to
33% off.
Okay, people. Well, fine, 33. 3 of you got real fucking lucky right there. Yeah. So the last 3 of you that use that code, thank me.
All right. 33% off using code 333 in the first 33 people. Or the first 3.3. 3.3 or 33. We'll see how many people use it.
All right.
Well, 0.3 people.
Yeah. All right.
If your child accidentally goes to the website, they can use it.
We also like to end on a cheers, my friend. Thank you for being here. Thank you for telling us your story.
Yes. Well,
appreciate it. And it's good.
And Corey, thank you for having me for however many years it's been and putting up with me and all my shenanigans. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
It's been good getting to know you.
I'm glad that I ended up at the place that you respect me at.
As I was trying to say earlier, it's been good getting to know you better, brother. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you guys. See you in...
we'll see you next week. We got a new person coming up. I think we're going to have a young one next week.
Yeah. I mean, we have 2 options of the young ones that we are thinking.
Yeah. So we'll check it out. And see you next week. Bam. Cheers, brother, man. Dude, this was really good. I really appreciate it. It was good.
No one has used a discount code yet.
Yeah, I also know, like, as soon as you said that, I was like, I know for a fact no one has ever done
No one just any.
Well, I don't know. It might get in that fish algorithm, dude. It might have 10,000.
I'm going to tell all my fish heads. This shit. But no, as soon as you said that, I was like, no one's ever done this. I'm gonna go with the threes, man.